Collective, welcome. I'm Nikki, your local vegan tarotist. Thank you for those of you who have liked, shared, subscribed, donated, and for those of you who will. I appreciate you all for your energy, your time, and your support. Now, I had pulled some of my own cards and they were still sitting here, and I just woke up not too long ago. So, but I really felt like called to do a reading. Particularly, and if you guys have been following me for a while, you know, and I'll just tell you, if you don't know now, you know, I do not typically read for third party, right? I read for Dharma, not karma. But of course, to know our Dharma, or to reach our Dharma, to access our Dharma and get aligned with it, we must first understand our karma, right? We have to come to terms with why things have happened, why things are happening, so that we know where we're headed, right? Because we have to understand that it's all part of our destiny, right? So I'm reading for a collective that truly, deeply believes in destiny. So you are not lacking the faith that you're going to come into union with your person. But the timing is the challenge here. Because one or both of you are still struggling with something. Wounded Warrior and the Sun, all right? 9 of Wands and the Sun. Somebody could be like a Leo, Virgo cusper. All right, the World. This is the fixed signs. Somebody is on the masculine side. They could have strong fixed or earth placements, but the World is all about endings, new beginnings, a whole new world, right? And now this third party karmic interference could be family. It could be traditions, culture. Particularly here as a vegan channel, somebody could still be struggling with the fact that they still have that cognitive dissonance. They could still be attached to the idea of the traditions that were instilled in them that is making them, challenged to transition into veganism, right? If not that, it could be about your ideas of marriage. It could be distance, because you are literally in different areas of the world, right? World can represent distance. But the World, also, little blue dot or little blue speck or whatever that poem is, could be, it is blue dot. Something about dots, dot, and ellipsis, because it's not really an ending. You're like in the in-between. The lovely bones. But I'm getting like this image of zooming out and seeing the world from such a small perspective. It feels like when you do come into union with this person, all the time, whatever time means to you, right? Whether you believe in past lives or a single life, right? In another life. Who sings that? It's an electronic song. It's like, is it EDM? In another life. And it just keeps repeating that. I don't know. Google that shit. Look it up. But that could be something about that song. Or maybe you listen to EDM music. Or house music. We have strength here. So Leo energy. Again, I'm getting a lot of Leo energy with the sun and strength. And the fixed energy of the World. Right, which is all about clarity. And I was just talking about Leos last night, but let me finish that other channel. Somebody could like switch the stations a lot. That could be indicative of like player energy, or somebody who has a lot of options. When you have that, it's like decision fatigue. Somebody could be like, I don't know what choice to make, right? Thank you for bearing with me with my congestion. We're working through it. The allergies and my asthma, it's like The combination is super fun. But in both places I went to for my stinging nettle, I don't know, maybe somebody's taking herbs or like working on their health, trying to balance their health. This stress could be like the stress or like ruminating on this connection or like, where's my love? How deep is your love? Deep is your love. The Bee Gees, that could be important. Somebody could like bees, or bees could be the letters B or G. Somebody could have like multiple E's in their name. Andy and Barry. Excuse me, Guilty. That's a collaboration with Barbra Streisand. One of my favorite albums of all time. But I digress. Someone could listen to Disco or Roller Skate. All right, calm down on the channeling here. So the little blue speck, little blue dot, zooming out, getting that perspective, like it feels so small. Whatever your concept of like the waiting period is going to feel so small. It's going to be like so condensed and so minute when you come into union. Just a moment. Let me clear my throat. All right. Yeah, I'm getting back to, now because, this is just a little side note, maybe somebody else can relate to this, but because I was in my van, I started taking like Tylenol and stuff again. Now, for those of you who know me, I take holistic measures for everything that I can. I don't like pharmaceuticals, even though I did run a pharmacy. I was over the pharmacy in the military, and there's a lot of just pill pushing, and it's basically to just get you back into the fight. It's sort of just, literally in that case, but in day-to-day life, you could have just been doing something to like muscle through. In the van with 4 dogs, I didn't have the luxury of being down for any period of time with migraines, with any of the things that I suffer with. And so I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to take this because like, I know it's temporary and it's temporary. I just got to get through this phase. There's something about getting through this phase. There's an ending coming up. And now that I'm in a place where I can do more holistic remedies and I don't have to just muscle through, it's like, oh, I can actually ease into my feminine energy. I can actually something is feasible now. Something wasn't feasible when it came to self-care. You could have children, you could have some sort of like responsibilities where you're just like, you could be a single parent where you're like, I just don't have that luxury. I just don't have the ability. I'm doing this all on my own. I don't have the ability to just not muscle through. I can't rest right now. But 4s are all about rest and contemplation. And when it comes to love, it's like, oh, I can actually wait. Like I can wait to receive what I actually deserve, what I actually dreamed of. Now, why would that be 6 of Pentacles? Okay, so maybe you were working with the community or something. You could have been some sort of figure, maybe a teacher, right? Because now we're in summertime. Summertime. See, I don't know the lyrics to any of this songs right now, but I'm just getting little snippets. And I feel like that's what you've been doing. You've been like dosing. And that could be literally with pharmaceuticals. That could be, just like microdosing self-care. Like you're like, well, I took a shower today. Like that's good enough. That's about as self-care as I'm going to get. But you're not taking a bath, I have returned. Okay. You're not taking a bath. You're not really you're not indulging in self-love. And 4 of Cups is somebody who's like, I don't care about these options. Like I want what I want. And now I have the luxury of doing it. So there could be very specifically, like for some reason, this like muscling through aspect could have been influencing your love life. It's obviously influencing your self-love, which is going to inevitably influence your divine pairing because you mirror each other. This is what my hair's doing, I guess. um, yeah, and it's kind of like, I feel like you're just sort of like, messy hair, don't care. You're sort of like, you know what? You're finally coming to a rest period. I'm getting the Four of Swords. Like, yeah, there's some reason that like this muscling through was influencing your love life, your responsibilities, whatever you were dedicating your time and energy to that you couldn't give to the self or even like have space to give to another person. It's either come to an end or there's like a for whatever reason. And I do feel like it has something to do with summer. So yeah, it could involve children. It could involve, being a teacher. Maybe you were in school and the semester's over and you're like, I'm just muscling through. Or like maybe there wasn't somebody, maybe you kind of like lost a coworker or something. And so you were taking on more responsibilities. And it could just be you just hired on people that are going to help alleviate some of that pressure, right? It's like your work life, something about like, because strength also represents like, I feel like somebody is, like, I always get, especially having multiple dogs, I always get that there's like, this is inner something where you have to like take care of others who can't take care of themselves. Now, that could very specifically be, and a lot of people don't like to talk about this, but that could be kind of, maybe you were somebody's caretaker and they passed on, right? I do feel like a caretaker energy here. So that could be pets, that could be children, that could be elderly, that could be some sort of family. It might not be related to you if you're like a teacher or if you're working in the community. Maybe there was something where it's like, and with the world ending, maybe you left that job. Maybe you did like social work or something and you're like, this is just too much. And that could have been a struggle to admit, because I feel like there's almost like a regrettable relief. It's like, oh, I hate to like be thankful for this ending, but like it's time for me now. I have to give to me because I'm dissatisfied with my love life with the Four of Cups. I'm dissatisfied with my emotionally. Like whatever you were doing was not, a lot of people get into, the caretaking industry, and it is an industry, and that is what people discover getting into it. You think you're going to go in and help people heal, but you're actually not there to help people heal, because healed people don't pay you anything. Like, you don't get any money from people who are happy and healthy and mentally stable. So the industries are all orchestrated to be the false magician, right? There's marketing and there's a tickle in my throat right now because I'm talking about false magicians and they don't like that, right? So you could have been dealing with like a Virgo, Gemini, or Taurus in reverse, because that is the magician energy. So specifically, or you have those placements in your chart and they were very challenged by this energy because it was keeping you from creating, from alchemizing, from a place of truth, because there were lies around you. And yeah, Eight of Cups, walking away from something that is emotionally dissatisfying. You chose yourself, and that could bring on some guilt because you're like, I had to choose myself. It's me time, Three of Swords. Yeah, I do feel like there was some sort of disappointment wherever you were giving your energy. So back on that, like maybe you got into nursing or you got into something where you were giving to others, because the Six of Pentacles, it's like giving back to the community. You were giving back, but wherever you were, like I was in nursing school. I was a medic in the military, and then I was in nursing school for 11 months, and then I dropped out because I was like, this is not it. And then I became a yoga instructor because I'm like, I'm here to actually help people heal. I'm a healer. That is my divine path. I am not here to keep people sick. I'm so sick of pill pushing. I'm so sick of just keeping people in the fight, because I don't condone warfare. I condone peace, right? You can't have one without the other, really. Like destruction and creation are together, but peace is different. Peace is not the, there's destruction, which is war, all right? Aries energy, Scorpionic energy, Mars, right? It's masculine energy, it's destruction, and then creative energy is feminine. So that is the divine balance between the two. You can't have one without the other. There must be an ending to have a beginning. However, peace is like a neutrality. It is divine. It is a state of being. It is not active energy on either side. It is that right there, that space between. The silence between. And that reminds me of Words and Pictures, the movie with Juliette Binoche and Clive Owen. Libra and Pisces, I believe their signs are. So those could be influencing you. The number 6 and the numbers 9. Take those as you will. But I'm getting also Cancer energy because, I am getting the yin yang and the fish swimming around each other and the Cancer symbol, right? Someone recently called it the sideways 69. I digress, right? But in Words and Pictures, she's reading a poem, and I forget what the name of it is. I am, who I am. Somebody's discovering who you are, and it's like, it's realizing your identity of, like, if you're, like, maybe you're an artist and you've been giving your energy to something that is really not, it's very like maybe your life purpose is to create art. And you could have been like playing an instrument with someone else, right? Or you were doing something like architecture, but you were like putting up these buildings, and now you're like, we have so many empty buildings over here. And instead of, because I just watched, which I've seen it many times, but I Want You Back, and I don't know their signs. I don't even know their names. I can't think of their names, but I Want You Back. It's on Prime. Ooh, that was nice. He wants to, his like dream is to make retirement homes because he grew up around the elderly and hanging out with his grandparents at a retirement home, and it was like, or an assisted living facility, and it was like really sad, and he didn't like it. And so his dream was to make a nice, cozy place that people wanted to come and stay, and they were happy to wake up in. And another thing, I went through a CNA course long before the military, not long before, like a year or two before, and went through the whole course, heard about like the tragedies, the nightmares, and I was like, the day of the test, which was basically a sure thing, like I knew I would pass it, and I wanted to be in there because I also was partially raised by elderly people, and so I've always had an affinity for them. So this could really, I feel like this is really resonating with somebody in particular. Like there were elderly people, or there was an elderly person that really influenced your childhood, and you've always wanted to give back to them. And on the day of the test, we took a 15-minute break. I got in my 4Runner and I left because I was like, I'm not going to be in this industry, and if I pass this test, which I know I'm going to, I'm going to be locked into this, and this is not my dream. This is not healing. This is not helping. And in that movie, he gets into the first job he can find or whatever that's offered to him. He just sort of takes whatever comes to him, and we accept what we believe we're worthy of. So if this is in love, like you could have been in some sort of connection with somebody that you just felt like, well, this is as good as it gets. That's another great movie, As Good as It Gets. And that also brings up another great movie, beautiful film, one of my favorites, Stranger Than Fiction, because I'm getting something about how much of an influence Helen Hunt's character in As Good as It Gets is. I don't know her sign, but Jack Nicholson is Taurus, and like she heavily influences him, obviously, like if you watch the movie, but you could be helping those in need, those like with mental instabilities or disorders, the mentally or physically handicapped. It's like, but if you get into those things like social work, like you become part of the system and then you burn out, and that intention you went in with is like gone, which is not about that. It's not in As Good as It Gets, but she's a waitress. Like, she's just a waitress, right? Also, Friends, the list that Ross makes, and Rachel's just a waitress, which he actually doesn't type that out. Chandler does. So there could be some sort of friend that's influencing it. That's like, oh, they're just this or that. And that could be like breaking that tradition or having those third-party interferences. It might not be a lover that's interfering, right? It could be a friend or a family member or somebody like that that's like, oh, you don't want to be with them. Like, if there's, okay, very specifically, but if you are dealing with someone who is vegan and you are not, or vice versa, it's like the family members might be like, oh, you don't want to be with them because that's going to change everything. Like, you're not going to fit in at family barbecues or whatever. It's going to make your life miserable. Or they could be like, oh, where do you get your protein? Whatever. Like, we're not going to get into all of that. But there could be some sort of influence on the outside that's like, are you sure you want to do that? And it's like, yes, I do. Devil may care. All right. Devil Wears Prada. Maybe you wanted to get into fashion to like redo the whole system, and then like, or you want to be a writer, and just like in Devil Wears Prada, she gets into that, and she's not about the fashion industry. And maybe you were in the fashion industry and you were like advocating for fur or silk or wool, and now you're like feathers, and now you're like, if you transition over to veganism, you're like, oh, I can't do any of that. Yes, you can. Rewrite that shit. Like, you're rewriting something, and it's, for some reason, there's like pressure in my left ear. There's some sort of, that is like, there is some sort of like pressure, but it doesn't feel like uncomfortable pressure. It's almost like a nudge from the universe. It's like, keep going. Wherever you feel challenged, that's where you need to go, and that's where you need to change the system. You need to go in and infiltrate and change it from the inside. And that poem, anyway, words and pictures. So there's something about like merging of things, merging of two ideas. Where there was once division, there is now a merging. Convergence is a movie. I don't know if I've ever seen it, but I think it was on my watch list or something. But there is a movie called Convergence, so I don't know. Maybe something about the actors, their signs, the premise of that film, something about that. I don't even know what it's about, but I think it's like space or sci-fi. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut, right? Maybe you are like an astronaut. It's like you are exploring new territory, and you're going in, and you're gonna feel like an alien wherever you are. There's disappointment about something. Okay, so we have the Six of Swords, which is about clarity and communication coming in. It's the rescue. This always reminds me of, in the Rider-Waite, it always reminds me of First Night, and I just watched First Night, so that is more Virgo energy because they are both Virgos. I don't know her sign. But right here, which is like that hermit. It's like you're coming out of hermit mode. You are coming into, if this is a masculine, they are pursuing a feminine. But see, here's like, this looks like a world, right? This balloon here. Hot head. I was getting pride with strength here. Somebody's like been struggling with foolish pride. The inferiority of your birth. Like, and in Pride and Prejudice, they are influenced. Both of the masculines they are influenced by society. Right? He influences his friend because he thinks that her sister, Jane, is not into him. Mr. Bingley. But she very much is. She's just shy. She's just modest and shy. So yeah, somebody could be receiving some sort of confirmation or clarity or encouragement, because that's what she says. She says, the friend says, some of us are not, I'm paraphrasing, she's like, some of us are not encouraged, or we're not confident enough to like be in love without a little encouragement, without the proper encouragement is what she says. So somebody's receiving the proper encouragement to come forward. Cancer placements are important here with the Chariot. And it is like, and this is feminine energy. It's all moving in the same direction, except for the Three of Swords. That's looking this way. The other three, the Eight of Cups, the Chariot, the Six of Swords, this is moving forward to a whole new version of yourself, feminines. And this is where you're going to meet your masculine, who has been in this Four of Cups energy, dissatisfied with love, with the offers they've been receiving, and they are going to receive this love. So this could be new work, right? Or when you start doing for yourself, when you're out doing something that you enjoy doing, that's where you meet your person, right? Where you will meet your divine counterpart when you are doing something that you would already be doing for yourself. And this is also about like admitting who you really are, because in I Want You Back, right? He's also like giving to the retirement industry, right? They're like budget cutting their food, feeding them, it's like, where can we cut corners with these elderly? Like they treat the elderly so badly. It gets me in a very personal place. And so I feel like somebody out there really resonates with that. If it's children and you're a teacher, you're like, we're not actually teaching these kids. Like these kids are like, they don't even know how to like write. They don't know how to read. They're like, they don't know simple math. Like, and you may say, oh, we don't need math. But you know what? For some reason, architecture came up. Maybe that is important. Like you do need math for certain jobs. And it's like, maybe you're like reviewing or recalling your childhood and you're like, these are the pieces that were missing from my childhood so that I would be angry about it. So I would be motivated to change the system. So if you are a teacher, you're going in and you're teaching differently. You're finding ways to do it differently. Maybe you're deciding to homeschool your children or something. You could be opening a daycare, all right? Because, oh my gosh, I've also been in the daycare industry, and it's like they don't care, and there's a lot of like abuse and neglect and awful things that happen in that industry. So somebody is like really motivated to change, and it's like your person has been waiting for this, waiting for you to activate, because the feminine is activated here, which is not feminine energy. So it's like, even though you've been in what you thought was masculine energy, feminines, just muscling through, you were activated in the opposite direction of your actual purpose. So once you activate on your path, that's where you're going to find your person. In I Want You Back, the one girl's like, she thinks she wants to go like to Florence and like do all this stuff, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna go travel around and be this like crazy artist, like this free-spirited artist or whatever. But she's like an English teacher, and she's kind of like rejecting that part of her. But then like she has like a full circle, and she's like, you know what, maybe I'm not into all that wild stuff. Maybe I'm not a free spirit. Maybe I like, and that's that fixed energy of the world. It's like, maybe I'm just like, it's like you're settling into who you authentically are, and you're admitting certain truths about yourself that just, you tried for something and it just wasn't you. And it was because you thought that's what you should be doing based on society, your family, like lovers. Maybe you were like contorting yourself to be something you were never meant to be. So it's like you're becoming who you are, and maybe you're an introvert and you were trying to be an extrovert, or vice versa. It's like you're meant to get out there. You're meant to go socialize, but you were in hermit mode, right? Because the hermit coming up and the Virgo energy coming up is that like self-reflection. It's that self-inventory. And in Stranger Than Fiction, Pisces and Scorpio energy, he is motivated to change his life when he thinks it's going to come to an end. When he hears from the narrator that his life is going to end, he's like, he says that he has to start changing something. And that is like the tower. This world feels more like a tower. It's because it's motivating the change that is necessary to put you on your path. And it's your path to love, because we have the King of Cups here, feminine. So more Cancer and Pisces, Scorpio energy, but it's clarifying the Chariot here. So Cancer is very important. Again, with illness, something about Cancer could be significant here, right? It's like you see all the films and hear all the stories about people who get that diagnosis, and then they're like, oh, I better start living. And then by them living, they heal themselves. It's like you're healing yourself through this activation. But it's something you've been afraid of. And where there is fear, go there, right? Because where there's fear, fear is it's an illusion, and it's an illusion fabricated by the false magician, right? By that devil energy. It's that fear and doubt it's a intentional detour from your divine path. So it operates and it moves through all kinds of entities in the 3D to keep you from your path. So when there is fear, when you're like, oh my gosh, this terrifies me the most, right? And you thought it was your intuition saying, don't do that. And you were staying on this path, but you're like, your body's deteriorating, your mind's deteriorating, your spirit's deteriorating. It's like, oh, this is horrible. But I'm terrified to do this. Do it. That's courage. That's strength. That's true bravery. It's being afraid, but doing it anyway. True courage does not come from going in a place that's comfortable. It's creating comfort out of discomfort. Yeah, that's a good one. Warrior of Pipes, that's that inspiration, right? It's the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius energy. Shoot your shot. If this is in love, if you're afraid of this love, if something about this love is like, oh my gosh, but you've been giving to things that seemed comfortable to the ego, right? Because when our ego is comfortable, that's complacency. When the ego is challenged, when we have fear, when our pride is questioned or challenged, it's like, that's where we're supposed to go. That's where we're supposed to go, because that's where our path is. Do not let the devil win. Come on. The devil is such a punk. The devil's a loser. Death. That scorpionic energy. It's ending. Laying something to rest. It's the death of the idea. It's the death of a past self. Right? And this could be your polarity sign, because I was getting Pisces, Virgo. That was weird. I feel like I had to pause there for a minute. But Scorpio with the death card, and then we have a bull here, which is Taurus. You know, and the bull represents being stubborn, right? If you have Taurus placements, you know. If you have fixed placements, you know. It is immovable. Once it gets moving, though, like, good luck stopping a bull. Good luck stopping a Taurus. But getting yourself to activate in a direction, sometimes it takes like a certain amount of antagonistic energy to really piss you off. And then you use that antagonistic energy, that anger, that fury, to just forge forward with this Warrior of Pipes. Something about speaking, because the throat chakra is the magician and it's Taurus. So Matriarch of Vessels. So there's the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. The devil at the bottom. That's right. White buffalo. The one that got away. Yeah. This person, the fear of losing this person is greater than the fear of coming toward them for the masculine. So I feel like that's what they're doing. Ace of Swords. Communication. There's a message, because I was saying the page with that knight. Two of Cups. It's an offer. All you have to do is activate in that direction. Something just flipped down to the ground. Down to the ground to get out of the rain. Boom, boom, boom. The ants go marching one by one. Hurrah, hurrah. I don't know where that's coming from, but Queen of Swords. This is a feminine who is waiting for direct, truthful communication and clarity. And her swords are open. They're not crossed. They're open. And I always feel like she's looking at herself in one of those full-length mirrors, like you see at a gym or a art studio or something like that. So that could be significant. With all that water energy of the King and the Queen of Cups, there is like this mirroring, right? So pull, getting ringing in the left ear. Page of Swords. Five of Swords. Are you afraid of rejection? Come on. I'm getting like, put your big boy panties on. The moon. You can stay in this moment of clarity forever. You'll always wonder about this, or you could just make your move. Eight of Pentacles. You've done the work on this, masculines, and it's in the feminine. The feminine's over here like doing everything on their own. Like, and a feminine left in active energy, in masculine energy for too long is not good. So, pipes, activate. Six of Pentacles. You are meant to come together. Your purposes align with your divine purpose. So when you break away from this false purpose, right, you've been creating as the false magician. Which is actually destruction, right? Because the opposition to creation is destruction. And if you're always in that opposing energy, right, you will never be at peace. This is your peace. Look how peaceful this Six of Pentacles is. Brave heart, courage, Leo energy. So what I was talking about last night about Leo energy is because I was always attracting Leos, and I was reading years before I found out, because my birth certificate has been revised. And so I didn't know what my rising sign was because I didn't know what my birth time was. So I was just going with my sun and my moon, which sometimes your moon sign can change when you find out your actual birth time. But what I knew about myself is that I was a Taurus, Sun, Cancer, Moon. That's all I knew. And I was just kind of like, so it did offer me this free space, because I was kind of like, I imagined myself as every zodiac sign in my rising and in my other placements. I was like, that's the magician. That's the Emperor and the Empress. They're the combination of all the signs and everything. So your zodiac sign is relevant just enough to help you understand yourself. Your whole chart is like, it helps you understand yourself. But within that chart, you have all of the elements, all of the modalities. You have masculine and feminine energy. Regardless of if you have more, you can access and loophole and draw from all of that around you. And once you are empowered and you understand yourself, you can draw from the energy around you. Not in a vampiric way, but you can draw from the energy around you. You can mirror, the external, and use it to alchemize from the internal, right? So I thought, oh my gosh, because my dad that I never met was a Leo, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like daddy issues attracting all these Leos for this reason, whatever. And then I came across my original birth certificate and found out that I was born at 12:06, right? So maybe that's important to you. Maybe that is significant. That's 9. It does, like, 9 is about self-empowerment and independence, right? And so there's something about that. My first tattoo was actually independence in Chinese writing. So there could be something about, that independence that's important, or tattoos that could be significant. Which I actually also designed this when I was like, 13. And then I got it put on later. I wanted it very small here. And the guy was like, I need more space for this or whatever. And I'm like, whatever. It's like my favorite tattoo. But I knew I was a Taurus. I always loved Saturn and UFOs, and that's why I like Saturn, because it looks like a UFO. And then I got the sun because I loved the way that that looked. I had seen like a Kokopelli drawing, and I was obsessed with like cave paintings, and that's the inspiration for a lot of my artwork. Anyway, so I later found out that I actually have a stellium in Capricorn, which is Saturn, and that I'm a Leo rising. And that was over a decade later that I found any of that out. Like well over a decade later that I found any of that out. And it's like, so there's something like about understanding yourself, admitting and coming to like your truth, and that is putting you on your divine path. Because Leo energy, and I jokingly talk about like, they are like predispositioned to becoming narcissistic. Why? Because they're the center of the solar system. They are the sun. They are very attractive. And so if you're raised getting all of this attention, like it's going to be easy for you to just be like, this is how the world is. Everything's centered around me. But the reason everyone's looking at you is because you're meant to lead with that fire energy. You are meant to create, bring clarity, lead others. Like, and somebody has been like misusing their power because they didn't realize their power. I don't feel like it was intentionally manipulative. It's like a aha moment where you're like, oh, I thought I was totally on the right path, and I'm on the total opposite path of where I was supposed to go, where I'm meant to go. And when you have that realization, that's where you come into union with your person, because your person is waiting on that path, right? Masculine or feminine, your person is waiting for you on that path, or you're both simultaneously having this epiphany and coming together. Either way, when you divinely align with yourself, with your truth, which is the magician, the throat chakra, it is alchemizing from a place of truth, right? Then you automatically are on the frequency of 1111, all right? I also was seeing 1111 a lot as a child. Like I've seen it for a long time, and then it became like a whole trend, and it was a whole thing, and then I found out my life path is 4. I am like, and that's the magician, right? It is the divine alchemist. It's the elementalist. It is the one who wields the powers from everything that they have gathered, right? So it's like you're gathering all this information, and maybe these things are resonate with you specifically. Holla holla, comment below if any of these things like sync up. If you are a life path 4, if you have a Leo rising, Cancer moon, Taurus, if you have any of these like placements, or if you just, the more you've learned about yourself, maybe you're taking like Myers-Briggs, you're taking these tests, you're finding out your love language. All of these things are giving you the information to understand and understand, sounds so corny, but understand who you are. And when you know who you are, you know who you're meant to be. You know your purpose. You understand your purpose. And that is where you're going to align with your person, because that's how the universe works. That's how law of attraction works. Like attracts like. So when you're doing what you like, when you're doing what you enjoy, you're going to align with those who are meant to align with you. Now, in that process, those who are not meant for you are going to fall away, and that could be a lot of that death energy, that 3 of Swords. You may discover people that have been on this current path can't follow you over here. However, if you do have those Leo placements, or if you're activating in that Leo energy, you're acting from a place of truth and clarity. That may inspire some of the people, but that can't be your reason for making this shift. They free will, they have to do it on their own, they have to want it for themselves. So I feel like that's important to somebody, because I feel like somebody is they're afraid with that like survivor's guilt. Like they're afraid of being the one who like activates. And that could be siblings, that could be childhood friends, that could be past lovers, right? Or current lovers. It's like, sometimes you grow apart. And that can be because somebody grows this way, you realize you're actually not meant for the same thing. Or that could be because one person grows and the other person stays put. And you have to leave them there. You have to leave people where they are. And that sounds really ruthless, but that's the divine path. It is, you can't bring them with you. All you can do is lead by example. But it has to be for you. You can't do it for, and that is like the Leo energy of being like center stage and like performative. And that's why I feel like you were doing and making certain moves, because you thought like, if I do this, then other people will see me and no, you can't do it for other people. They have to do the work themselves. But you could inspire them. So hopefully that gives a little bit of confidence to somebody, or a little bit of like, helps you ease your mind and your heart mostly, because this is you following your heart with that Chariot energy. You have to follow your heart. And those who are aligned with your heart and with where you're going will just naturally come, and the others will fall away. And that is a form of death. That is a form of releasing what is not aligned with you. And that can be very challenging. It is very challenging. But that cannot be the reason you stay stuck. You know, you can't just like stay where they are, because they're not where you're meant to be. I hope there was something in here for you. I just felt like this message needed to come out for somebody, and it feels pretty specific. So it may not resonate with anyone or everyone. It's not going to resonate with everyone, but hopefully it resonated with, again, just one person. If you just help one person realize their truth, that's what I'm here for, right? So if it did, please comment, clarify, or claim it. All the C's. 3 C's. And yes, I hope something resonated in here, because this is putting not just individuals on their divine path, this energy. This is going to make some serious unions happen. And I've been feeling this like rise up, a collective rise up of divine unions. 2 of Cups there. Because these divine unions are going to give back in a very divine way to the collective, to the community. And we need that. We need people to give back more. As a society, as a collective, we've become very self-centered, very divided, and we can do better. Let's do it. So I'm going to go take my own advice, like Alice, and go down that rabbit hole, break the matrix, and hopefully I'll see y'all there. So until next time, I wish you well.